Ethan had always loved exploring. Even as a child, he would wander into hidden corners of his neighborhood, imagining he was charting unknown worlds. So when he was offered a chance to travel to Eridon, a human-colonized planet at the edge of known space, he didn't hesitate. This planet was famous for its bustling spaceports, alien marketplaces, and thriving trade hubs. For someone curious, it was a dream come true. He landed at the main spaceport, which stretched like a metallic forest under the twin suns. Ships of every shape and size hovered or docked, and aliens of countless forms walked alongside humans. Some had smooth, reflective skin. Others moved with multiple limbs or floated slightly above the ground. Humans were few here, mostly traders or explorers like Ethan, and their presence often drew curious glances. Ethan's mission was simple: map the trade routes and catalog any rare minerals. But his curiosity had a way of turning simple tasks into adventures. Today he had wandered farther than usual. Signs warned restricted royal sector, no unauthorized entry. But the language wasn't familiar to him, and besides, the golden gates ahead seemed fascinating. He stepped through. The area was nothing like the busy port outside. It was quiet, almost eerily so. The ground beneath him glimmered with a crystalline pattern, and the walls were smooth, curving in ways that seemed impossible. Strange flowers floated in midair, their petals radiating soft colors. Ethan's eyes widened. It was beautiful, and then he saw her. Standing near the center of a courtyard was an alien woman unlike any Ethan had ever seen. Her skin was a soft violet hue that shimmered slightly in the light. Her hair floated just above her shoulders, as if it were weightless, reflecting the colors of the twin suns. But it wasn't her beauty that stopped Ethan in his tracks. It was the look in her eyes, sharp, intelligent, and frozen. Ethan froze too. The woman's gaze locked onto him, and for a long moment neither moved. Her expression shifted from surprise to something more complex. It wasn't fear, at least not exactly. It was like she had seen something she wasn't ready to face, something from far in the past. "Who are you?" she finally said, her voice musical yet firm. Before Ethan could answer, two tall guards appeared from the side corridors, their uniforms shimmering and almost blending into the palace walls. They moved quickly, hands hovering near their energy weapons. "Intruder," one of them barked in a language Ethan didn't understand, but he understood the tone. "Danger." Ethan raised his hands slowly. I'm just an explorer. I didn't mean to." The princess, he was almost sure she was a princess, held up her hand. The guards stopped, their faces tightening in confusion. The violet-skinned woman took a step toward Ethan, eyes still wide. "Wait," she said. I know you," Ethan blinked. He had been called a lot of things in his life: curious, reckless, adventurous, but never known by an alien princess. "I don't think we've met," he replied cautiously. The princess's gaze softened slightly, but her hands trembled, almost imperceptibly. "No, it's you. It has to be." "But that's impossible." Ethan's head spun. He didn't understand. "I'm sorry. Do I know you?" Her eyes seemed to search his face, tracing lines he had never noticed, studying him as if she were reading a story written on his skin. Then just as suddenly she looked away, shaking her head. The guard shifted nervously. "Princess Lyra," one of them said softly. Lyra, that had to be her name, turned back to Ethan. "Ethan," she said, I think I need to know who you are. Tell me everything." Ethan hesitated. "I'm just here to explore. Map the trade routes, catalog minerals. I didn't even know this area was—" Lyra interrupted him with a raised hand. "No, not that. The feeling, the recognition. It's like I've seen you before." Ethan frowned. "You've seen me before? That's impossible. I've never been here." Lyra's hands clenched slightly at her sides. "It doesn't make sense. But it's real. Your face, your presence, I know it." For a moment the courtyard was silent except for the soft hum of energy flowing through the palace walls and the floating petals drifting around them. Ethan felt a strange energy in the air, something that wasn't threatening but ancient. "Look," Ethan said slowly. "I think there's some mistake. I'm just a human explorer, that's all." Lyra shook her head, her violet eyes glinting with something like fear and awe mixed together. "No, it's not a mistake. You saved me once, long ago." Ethan blinked. He didn't understand. "Saved you? How? I've never even met you. Her expression softened almost painfully. I know. But it's true, and now you're here. After all this time, the guards shifted again, looking uncertain. Clearly, they hadn't been told this part of the story. One whispered something to Lyra, who waved her hand, silencing him. Ethan's mind raced. He had always imagined meeting aliens, exploring new worlds, maybe even seeing incredible technology. But never this. Never that an alien could recognize him from, a lifetime ago? He had no memory of anything like that. Lyra stepped closer, her gaze intense. I need to understand, but we must be careful. If the wrong people know you are here, it could cause problems. Ethan nodded slowly. I'll do whatever you need. I don't even know why I'm here, but I'll help. Lyra gave a small, almost imperceptible smile. Good, then we must start with the truth. There are things you do not remember, things you've forgotten even about yourself, and they are important. Ethan's curiosity flared. Adventure had always been thrilling, but this was different. This wasn't just exploring new worlds. It was uncovering a mystery tied to his own life, a mystery involving an alien princess who froze at the sight of him and claimed he had saved her once. Where do we start? He asked, his voice steady, though his heart was racing. Lyra gestured to a side corridor. Follow me. But remember, what happens here stays within these walls. No one must know, not yet, not until you understand. As they walked, Ethan couldn't help but glance back at the courtyard. The twin suns cast long shadows across the crystalline ground, and the floating flowers shimmered as if acknowledging something unseen. He realized something in that moment. This was more than exploration. This was destiny. And whatever lay ahead, he had a feeling his life, and perhaps even the fate of Lyra's world, would never be the same again. Ethan followed Princess Lyra through the winding corridors of the palace. The walls shimmered with soft moving patterns, almost like liquid glass reflecting light in gentle waves. Floating orbs of soft illumination hovered at regular intervals, bathing the hall in calming blue and violet tones. Everything felt alive, almost like the palace itself was aware of their presence. Lyra led him to a small private chamber at the end of the corridor. Unlike the grand halls and crystal floors outside, this room was modest, with soft seating and a large, transparent display screen embedded in the wall. Strange symbols hovered above it, and a faint hum resonated through the air. Sit, Lyra said, motioning toward one of the floating chairs. We need to talk, and you need to tell me everything you remember, no matter how small. Ethan sat, trying to calm his racing heart. I don't remember much. Honestly, I don't even know why you recognized me. I haven't been anywhere near your planet before. Lyra studied him carefully, her violet eyes softening. You may not remember. Memories can fade, especially if you were very young, but the bond remains. Something about you is familiar to me, so familiar that I froze the moment I saw you. Ethan frowned. Bond, what do you mean? Lyra leaned forward, placing her hands lightly on the table. Years ago, I was a child, much like you were when you were small. My parents, the rulers of this world, were involved in a conflict. There was an accident. I was trapped. Do you remember anything like a dream? Maybe flashes of light, a voice calling you? Ethan blinked, thinking hard. A voice. A warm voice. And a light. I remember saving someone, maybe. I don't know. It's hazy. I've always thought it was a dream. Lyra's eyes glimmered. It wasn't a dream. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Wait, you mean I really saved you? Yes, Lyra whispered. You were a child, but even then humans had courage that surprised everyone, even us. You were small, unarmed, but you acted. You saved me when no one else could. Ethan shook his head, disbelief mixing with awe. I don't remember doing that. How could I? I was just a kid. Lyra's gaze softened even further. Sometimes what we do matters more than we remember. And sometimes, the universe has a way of bringing people back when they are needed again. The room was silent for a moment. Ethan tried to imagine his younger self, a small human child saving an alien princess he didn't even know. The thought seemed impossible, yet the certainty in Lyra's eyes made it real. Lyra moved toward a corner of the room where a large crystal console stood. She touched it, and a holographic display shimmered into life, showing a scene from decades ago. Ethan's eyes widened. There was the young princess, small, frightened, trapped in a glowing energy field. She struggled, calling out, her voice echoing through the chamber. Then from a flash of light, a small human appeared. It was him. Ethan stared, stunned. That's me? Lyra nodded. Yes, you didn't remember it, but your actions saved my life. You held the energy field open long enough for me to escape. No technology could have done what you did. Only you. The guards outside shifted nervously, peeking in through the doorway. Lyra waved them off and they retreated quietly. This is not for their eyes yet, she said. Ethan's mind raced. He had always thought humans were ordinary, often underestimated by alien civilizations. But here he was, proof that even a child could change the fate of a royal and a world. How could I have done that? Ethan asked. I was just a kid. I didn't even know what I was doing, Lyra smiled faintly. That is the nature of humans. Courage, instinct, and heart often outweigh logic or technology. You acted because it was right. You acted because you could. Ethan swallowed hard. The weight of it all pressed on him. Not only had he saved an alien princess decades ago, but now he had returned to her world without knowing it, and she recognized him instantly. Why now? Ethan asked. Why am I here? Why did I appear at the palace? Lyra hesitated. The link between us, it never broke. When you arrived on Eridon, it stirred something in me, something that my advisors and my family cannot understand. They see a human intruder, I see. The child who saved me, the human who mattered. Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had always wanted to explore new worlds, but he had never imagined this, being personally connected to the fate of an alien princess, remembered for something he had long forgotten. Lyra walked over to a large window overlooking the city. Twin suns painted the sky in golden and violet hues. The city sparkled with floating lights and hovering vehicles moving like schools of luminous fish. You see this city? Lyra asked softly. This palace? All of it could have been lost if you hadn't acted. I may have survived physically, but the balance of my world would have shifted. Humans, your kind. You don't always see it, but you leave marks on the universe in ways you never imagine. Ethan looked at her, humbled. I didn't know. I never thought humans mattered that much. Lyra turned to him, her eyes shining. You do. You always have. You always will. That is why I froze when I saw you. That is why I recognized you. My life, my world. Part of it belongs to you now. The weight of her words settled over Ethan. He realized that humans were not just explorers or traders. They were catalysts, unpredictable, courageous, and capable of changing destinies even without knowing it. But now? Ethan asked. What happens now? You've remembered me, but why am I here decades later? Lyra hesitated, biting her lower lip. Something is coming. Forces beyond my control. Factions that would use humans as tools that would take advantage of you if they knew. I need you here not just as the child who saved me, but as someone who can help now. As an ally. You have qualities my people often underestimate. Ethan felt a surge of determination. Adventure had always been thrilling, but this was bigger than anything he had imagined. His courage, his instincts, even his human nature. These were needed not just to explore, but to protect a world and a princess who trusted him across decades. I'll help, he said firmly. Whatever you need, I'll do it. I don't fully understand everything, but I'm not going anywhere. Lyra's lips curved into a faint, grateful smile. Good, but we must proceed carefully. There are many who will not understand, who will see you only as a human intruder. We need to uncover the truth slowly, and you need to understand your role fully. Ethan nodded. He had always thought humans were ordinary, often underestimated in the galaxy. But here he was, proof that even a child, an ordinary human, could leave a mark that time could not erase. And now, as an adult, he would step into a destiny intertwined with alien politics, ancient bonds, and mysteries of the universe. Lyra gestured to the crystal console. We start with memories. We start with understanding the past. Only then can we prepare for what is coming. Ethan leaned forward, ready. For the first time in his life, he felt that his journey was no longer about mapping planets or cataloging minerals. It was about uncovering a hidden connection, a bond that spanned worlds and decades, and preparing for challenges that neither humans nor aliens could face alone. And so, the journey began. The light from the twin suns filtered through the crystalline walls, bathing the room in soft warmth. Outside, the city of Eridon moved like a living organism, unaware that the child who once saved a princess had returned, ready to shape the fate of a world once more. Ethan felt a thrill in his chest. Adventure, danger, discovery, and purpose all at once. This was no ordinary exploration. This was destiny, and nothing would ever be the same again. The chamber was silent except for the gentle hum of the crystal consoles. Ethan followed Princess Lyra as she led him deeper into the private areas of the palace, moving past hallways that seemed to bend in impossible ways. Each corridor shimmered with a soft light, reflecting off the crystalline walls, creating patterns that danced across the floor. "This way," Lyra said softly. "I need to show you something that very few people have ever seen. It is our history and your place in it." Ethan followed cautiously, his curiosity and nerves battling inside him. The past few hours had already been unbelievable. An alien princess recognizing him from an event he couldn't remember, claiming he had saved her life decades ago. Now she was taking him further into secrets of her world. They arrived at a massive circular door carved into the crystal walls. Strange symbols glowed faintly across its surface, shifting and rearranging as Lyra approached. She placed her hand on a small indentation at the center, and the door hummed before slowly opening, revealing a chamber that took Ethan's breath away. It was enormous, yet serene. The walls were lined with thousands of crystal shelves, each containing glowing artifacts, delicate holograms, and floating memory spheres. The air shimmered with a soft glow of history, as if the room itself remembered everything it had witnessed. "This," Lyra said, sweeping her arm, "is the Royal Archive. Everything from our past, our victories, our failures, and the moments that shaped us is preserved here. And among these records there is something very important. About you." Ethan stepped inside, staring in awe. He had seen libraries and museums on Earth, but nothing like this. The history of an entire alien civilization seemed contained within this room, alive and radiant. Lyra guided him to a pedestal at the center. On it floated a translucent sphere, pulsing gently with a soft blue light. "This," she said, "is a memory sphere. It records moments of extreme importance, moments that changed lives. You appear in this sphere." Ethan felt a strange mix of fear and curiosity. "Me? How? What does it show?" Lyra activated the sphere with a delicate gesture. The room dimmed slightly, and a three-dimensional image materialized in front of them. Ethan's own eyes widened as he saw a scene unfold. There he was, no older than 10, standing amidst a glowing, chaotic energy field. The young Lyra, terrified and trapped, was surrounded by sparks of alien energy that shimmered like fire. No one else was near her. She struggled to free herself, but the field was too strong. And then, from nowhere, he appeared. The young human himself ran forward despite the danger. He touched the edge of the energy field with both hands, and the energy seemed to respond to him, slowing and wavering. Lyra saw herself being freed, the force dissipating just enough for her to escape. Ethan couldn't believe it. I really did that?" he whispered. Lyra nodded, her eyes glistening. "Yes, you saved me. And not just me, you changed the course of my world. The palace would have fallen, the city could have been destroyed, and many lives would have been lost. But you acted when no one else could. Humans often underestimate their own strength, but it was your courage that made the difference." Ethan swallowed hard. I don't even remember any of this." "How could I?" Lyra looked at him gently. "Memories of such events can fade, especially when you are young. But the actions remain, and the consequences last. That is why I recognized you. Even after all these years, there was something in your presence. Something familiar, a spark of the same courage that saved me." Ethan took a step back, overwhelmed. "I never thought humans mattered that much in the galaxy. I mean, we're not the strongest or the fastest, but this proves something else entirely." Lyra smiled faintly. "Yes, courage, empathy, and determination, qualities humans have in abundance, can surpass technology, power, and planning. Even in my world, we have underestimated humans. Yet here you are, proof of what your kind can do." The holographic scene continued, showing the aftermath. Advisors and royal guards rushed to stabilize the palace, unaware of the young human who had quietly, instinctively saved the princess. The recording even captured the expressions on their faces, shock, awe, and gratitude, as Lyra was freed from danger. "This is incredible," Ethan said. "I had no idea. I always thought of myself as ordinary." Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "Being ordinary is not weakness. It is your choices, your heart, and your courage that define you. You may not remember, but you made a difference, and that difference echoes even now." Ethan looked around the chamber, seeing hundreds of memory spheres, each holding a fragment of history. "And what about now? Why did you need me here again? Why did you bring me back into your world?" Lyra's expression grew serious. "Because there are forces at work that are bigger than my world alone. There are factions beyond my control that seek to exploit weaknesses. They do not understand humans, but they will try to. And you have qualities they cannot predict. You have creativity, courage, and resilience that even advanced technology cannot counter. I need you here, not just as a memory of the past, but as someone who can help shape the future." Ethan felt a mix of pride and responsibility. Adventure had always excited him, but this was different. This was no longer about exploration or discovery. It was about destiny, courage, and protecting not just one life, but an entire civilization. Lyra led him to another pedestal. This one contained a holographic map of Aridon, showing energy flows, trade routes, and zones of political tension. "These are the challenges we face," she said. "Some factions doubt the value of humans. They see you as weak or irrelevant, but I know otherwise. You are part of what can save us. Your mind, your instincts, and your courage are needed." Ethan studied the map, fascinated. "So humans aren't just explorers or traders in the galaxy," he said slowly. "We can actually make a difference, even against aliens who are stronger or smarter or more advanced." Lyra nodded. "Exactly. And that is why you are here, and why I froze when I first saw you. That instinct, that recognition, it is more than memory. It is the bond between those who save and those who are saved. And now, that bond can guide both of us in what comes next." Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history and destiny pressing on him. "I don't fully understand it yet," he admitted. "But I will learn. I will help. I won't let anything happen to your world, or to you." Lyra's violet eyes softened. "I believe you. Humans often surprise us. You have always surprised me, and now together, we can face what is coming." For a moment, silence fell over the chamber. The twin suns outside cast warm light through the crystalline walls, painting the room in shades of gold and violet. Ethan realized he had never felt so connected to a place, a world, or a being. Not just curiosity, but purpose and responsibility tied him to Lyra's world in ways he could never have imagined. Lyra gestured toward the floating memory spheres. "You will see more, understand more, and in time you will realize that humans, your kind, are more important than you have ever known." "This is only the beginning," Ethan nodded. "I'm ready. Show me everything." And so, the memory spheres revealed more of the past, the choices, and the moments that defined Lyra's world. Ethan saw his own courage reflected in ways he could never have imagined, realizing that humans were underestimated, not because they lacked strength, but because their strength came from qualities that even advanced civilizations struggled to predict. In that quiet, luminous chamber, surrounded by the history of a world he had unknowingly shaped, Ethan understood something profound. Humans were capable of greatness, not through brute force but through courage, empathy, and determination. And he, an ordinary human who had once been a child saving an alien princess, was once again at the center of a story that could change the fate of an entire civilization. The adventure, he realized, was just beginning. The palace corridors felt colder than usual that morning. Ethan walked beside Princess Lyra, both of them moving quietly through the crystal halls toward the council chamber. Outside, Aridon's twin suns cast long shadows across the city, but inside the palace the tension was palpable. Today, Ethan would witness a side of Lyra's world he had never imagined. The intricate politics that shaped the destiny of her people. Lyra turned to him, her violet eyes serious. "The council is not expecting you," she said softly. "Many of them see humans as outsiders. They will question your presence, your purpose, and even your worth. You must be cautious but honest. Show them your mind, your courage, and your heart." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. He had already seen the past, how he, even as a child, had shaped Lyra's life. Now he would help shape the present, navigating alien politics in a way no human had before. The council chamber was vast, circular, and intimidating. Crystal walls curved upward into a high ceiling, where shimmering patterns reflected the council's colors and insignias. Around the central platform sat Lyra's advisors, diplomats, and military leaders. Most of them were aliens, their forms varying. Some with translucent skin, some with multiple eyes, some with glowing appendages that indicated rank. As Lyra and Ethan entered, a hush fell over the chamber. The advisors whispered among themselves, their voices laced with curiosity, suspicion, and concern. Ethan could feel their scrutiny. He was human, small, and seemingly fragile compared to these alien leaders, and he was well aware of it. Lyra stepped forward, raising her hand. "Esteemed council members," she began, her voice calm yet commanding. "I have brought someone important, someone who has impacted my life and our world more than most of you realize." A tall, armored counselor leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Princess, with all due respect, this is a human. What purpose does he serve in matters of state? Our world faces challenges, and we cannot be distracted by outsiders." Ethan felt the eyes of dozens of aliens on him. He could have been nervous, but something inside him steadied his resolve. He remembered the courage he had shown as a child. He remembered the bond he shared with Lyra, and he remembered that humans, even underestimated, had a strength of heart that no alien could predict. He stepped forward. "I understand your concerns," he said, his voice steady. "I am human, but I am also someone who has already played a part in the survival of Princess Lyra and her world. I may not have known it at the time, but my actions made a difference. And I am here now because I want to help, because I know the challenges you face cannot be solved by one species alone." Murmurs spread through the council. Some leaned back, skeptical. Others seemed intrigued. One younger advisor with silver-flecked skin whispered to a colleague, "Perhaps there is truth in what he says." Lyra turned to him, giving him a reassuring glance. "They doubt, but they will listen. Show them the truth, Ethan. Show them what humans can do when trusted, when given a chance." Ethan took a deep breath and pointed to the crystal pedestal nearby, where the holographic map of Eridon floated. "Look here," he said. "These are the trade routes, the energy flows, and the areas where tensions are highest. I've studied them since I arrived. Some zones are vulnerable because the factions are organized differently. Some factions believe humans are weak, but we think differently. We see patterns they don't." He moved through the map, explaining the weaknesses, the strengths, and the opportunities. His observations were precise, practical, and clear. He suggested changes to security, trade, and communication that even the most experienced alien advisors hadn't considered. The room fell silent. The counselors, who had initially dismissed him as an outsider, now leaned forward, paying attention. They whispered among themselves, evaluating his words. It was clear. Humans were underestimated, and Ethan was proving that one person, guided by courage and insight, could challenge expectations. Finally, the tallest counselor, the one who had questioned him first, spoke again. "Your points are valid. They are unconventional, but perhaps effective. We will consider them. Princess Lyra, you were right. This human, he has value." Ethan felt a surge of relief, but Lyra's voice stopped him from relaxing too much. "Value is not just about knowledge or skills," she said. "It is about courage, empathy, and determination. He has shown all of these qualities. That is why I trust him, and why I believe he can help us navigate the challenges ahead." The council shifted in their seats. Some nodded slowly. Others were still wary, but a seed of respect had been planted. For the first time, humans were being recognized not as outsiders but as allies. Then, a warning bell echoed through the chamber, a sharp, resonant sound that made everyone tense. Guards appeared at the entrances, their weapons raised. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Trouble," she said. "Someone has tried to infiltrate the palace." Ethan's heart raced. This was exactly what Lyra had feared. The factions that did not trust humans were already acting. But he didn't panic. He remembered the courage he had shown as a child, the instincts that had saved Lyra then, and the insight he had just shared. "Show me where the intruders are," he said. "We can handle this together." Lyra nodded. She led him to a security console, and a holographic display revealed a small group attempting to bypass the palace defenses. They were human-sized, but their equipment suggested training and advanced technology. They were clearly part of a faction aiming to exploit distrust between species. Ethan studied the display carefully. They will try to split the guards and distract the council, but they underestimate the coordination of humans and aliens working together. He quickly drew a plan, Using both his knowledge of human tactics and the palace layout Lyra had shown him, we position the guards here, here, and here. I will take a team to flank them. The intruders won't expect cooperation between humans and aliens. They'll think they can manipulate fear and confusion. Lyra's eyes shone with admiration. You think like a strategist, Ethan. This is exactly why humans cannot be dismissed. Quick thinking, courage, and intuition, qualities even advanced technology cannot replace. The guards followed his instructions, moving swiftly but cautiously. Ethan led a small group through a side corridor, approaching the intruders from an unexpected angle. They were caught off guard. The combination of human strategy and alien speed overwhelmed them, and within moments the intruders were disarmed and contained. Back in the council chamber, Lyra turned to the assembly. You have just seen what humans can do, she said, her voice calm but firm. They are not weak. They are not irrelevant. They are allies who can act with courage, insight, and heart. I trust Ethan, and I believe our world is stronger because of that trust. The counselors were silent for a moment, absorbing the lesson. Then one by one they began to nod. Respect replaced skepticism. Curiosity replaced doubt, and for the first time the room seemed united, not by fear or tradition, but by understanding. Ethan exhaled, feeling a mix of relief and pride. He had not only proven himself in strategy and courage, but had also shown that humans, underestimated though they might be, could make a real difference. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. You have done well, she said softly. But this is only the beginning. The political storm is far from over. There are larger threats and there are those who will test both our worlds. But now, you and I face them together. Ethan looked out through the crystal walls at the glowing city below. The twin suns reflected off the crystalline buildings, casting a warm light that shimmered like hope. He realized that humans, often overlooked in the galaxy, had the power to change outcomes, to protect lives, and to inspire trust across worlds. I'm ready, he said. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Lyra smiled, her violet eyes full of determination. Good, then let us prepare. The challenges ahead will test courage, wisdom, and unity. But I have faith in humans. And in you, Ethan. That is why the galaxy can still hold hope. Ethan nodded. He knew the path ahead would be dangerous, filled with political intrigue, powerful factions, and unexpected threats. But he also knew something more important. Humans, though underestimated, were capable of extraordinary courage, creativity, and heart. And together they could face anything. As the twin suns set over Eridon, casting long shadows over the city, Ethan and Lyra stood side by side, ready to face the storm. The political challenges were only part of the journey. What lay ahead would test their courage, their minds, and their hearts. But for the first time, Ethan felt truly confident in his role, not as an outsider, but as a vital part of a world that needed him, and in that moment he understood the truth of it all. Humans, when trusted and given a chance, could change the fate of worlds. The grand balcony of the palace overlooked the luminous city of Eridon. Twin suns were dipping below the horizon, casting violet and gold streaks across the skyline. Ethan stood beside Princess Lyra, feeling the weight of recent events pressing on both of them. The political storm had calmed for now thanks to his quick thinking and strategic mind. But Ethan knew their challenges were far from over. Lyra leaned against the railing, her violet eyes fixed on the horizon. Ethan, she said softly, there is something I have not told you. Something more than just our shared past. Ethan turned to her, curiosity and apprehension mixing in his chest. What is it? Lyra hesitated, her gaze shifting to him. When I first saw you, the moment you entered my world, I froze because I sensed something I had never felt in decades. It was more than recognition, it was a psychic connection. Ethan blinked. A psychic connection? Yes, Lyra replied. Our bond from that day when you saved me as a child created a link. It was dormant for many years, hidden beneath memory and time. But when I saw you again, it awakened. My mind, my instincts, they remembered even when I did not consciously recall the event. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. So that's why you froze. Not because of fear or shock, but because you sensed me? Lyra nodded. Exactly. I had never experienced anything like it. No one in my world has. And the intensity of the feeling made me hesitate. I had to be certain it was truly you, and now I know. The wind from the balcony shifted, carrying a soft alien scent of floating flowers and ozone. Ethan tried to process everything. He had always thought humans were ordinary, often underestimated. But now he understood that something unique had bound him to this alien princess. A bond of courage, action and fate that transcended worlds and species. Before Ethan could respond, a sudden alarm echoed through the palace. Lights flashed, and holographic alerts appeared on the balcony displays. Lyra's expression hardened. "Trouble," she said. "The factions we suspected, they have learned of your presence. They aim to exploit your connection to me to destabilize the throne." Ethan felt a surge of determination. "Then let's stop them. Together." Lyra nodded, and they moved quickly toward the palace command center. The corridors, once calm and majestic, now thrummed with urgency. Guards rushed past, coordinating defensive measures, while Ethan studied the maps displayed on holographic panels. The intruders were not ordinary. They were highly trained operatives, equipped with advanced technology. But Ethan's mind raced. He had always relied on instinct and strategy, and now he had Lyra's knowledge and the palace's resources. Together they had a chance. "Here," Ethan said, pointing to a strategic corridor on the map. "They will try to flank the council chamber from this side. If we can predict their movement, we can outmaneuver them. They expect chaos, but they do not expect coordinated human-alien strategy." Lyra's eyes shone with admiration. "Your thinking, it is remarkable. Humans may be underestimated, but your mind sees possibilities others overlook. That is why I trust you, Ethan." Using Ethan's plan, the palace mobilized quickly. Guards and security drones positioned themselves in the corridors, creating an invisible trap. Ethan and Lyra led a small strike team along a hidden passage, approaching the intruders from an angle they would never anticipate. The confrontation was swift, but precise. The intruders, expecting disorganized resistance, were surprised by the coordination and strategy of humans working alongside aliens. Ethan's quick decisions, combined with Lyra's leadership and knowledge of the palace, neutralized the threat before any real damage occurred. As the last intruder was contained, Ethan exhaled, feeling both relief and exhilaration. He had not only protected the princess and the palace, but he had also shown that humans, often underestimated, could make a decisive difference even against advanced alien forces. Lyra turned to him, her expression softening. "You see, Ethan? Humans are remarkable. Courage, creativity, adaptability. These are qualities that can shape worlds. You are living proof of that." Ethan shook his head in disbelief. "I always thought I was just ordinary, but now I see humans can be extraordinary. We may not have the same powers or technology, but we have something else. Heart, courage, and determination." Lyra nodded. "Exactly. And now the galaxy has seen it through you. The factions that underestimated humans have learned that strength is not always measured in size or speed, but in the choices we make and the courage we show." Ethan looked out at the city below, lights glowing like stars scattered across the surface. He thought about his childhood, the day he saved Lyra, and how little he had understood at the time. Yet every instinct, every action, every choice he had made had led him here, back to her world, to the palace, to a destiny he could never have imagined. Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder. "And now," she said, "we prepare for the future. There will be challenges, threats, and decisions that test us, but we face them together, humans and aliens united. Your presence here is a symbol, a reminder that courage knows no boundaries, that alliances can span worlds, and that hope can come from the most unexpected places." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. Adventure had always excited him, but this was different. This was purpose. This was responsibility. And he had proven that humans, though often underestimated, could rise to the occasion and protect not just themselves, but entire civilizations. "Let's make sure the factions understand that lesson fully," Ethan said with a determined smile. Lyra laughed softly, a sound like chimes in the wind. "Yes, let us show them the strength of unity, courage, and heart." The city below glimmered as night fell. From above, the streets and towers looked peaceful, but Ethan knew the galaxy was vast, filled with unknown challenges. Yet for the first time he felt ready to face whatever came next, not as a mere human, not as a visitor, but as someone who had already shaped history and who would continue to do so. He glanced at Lyra. I never imagined my life would lead to this. An alien princess, psychic bonds, palace intrigue. And yet here I am, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the twin sun's fading light. Nor would I. You have proven that humans are not to be underestimated. And you have reminded us all that even the smallest actions, courageous, selfless, unexpected, can change the course of history. Together, they watched the city, feeling the quiet strength of victory, tempered by the knowledge that challenges still lay ahead. But Ethan understood something vital. Humans, underestimated though they might be, had the power to make a difference. And he, the ordinary child who had once saved an alien princess, had returned to show that courage, heart, and determination could indeed shape the fate of worlds. As night fully descended on Eridon, Ethan realized the truth of his journey. The psychic bond, the courage, the unity of humans and aliens, these were not accidents. They were signs that the galaxy could thrive when different worlds learned to trust each other, to act with heart, and to rise to challenges with courage. He turned to Lyra, ready for whatever came next. "We're ready," he said. Lyra nodded. "Yes, together we are ready." And for the first time, Ethan felt the full weight and the full promise of being human in a universe that often underestimated them. Humans were not just explorers or colonizers. They were catalysts, allies, and heroes in ways that even the most advanced civilizations could not predict. And together, Ethan and Lyra would face whatever the future held, proving that courage, heart, and determination could indeed change the fate of worlds.